we are going to show you how to set up your protocols for swLORETA using NeuroGuide software. So on your desktop, you're going to locate your NeuroGuide software icon, which looks like this. It's a brain with a lightning bolt. So we go ahead and open this. The first thing that we want to do is we want to create the symptoms checklist. So we're going to open up our client's EEG folder. We're going to go to File, Open. At our clinic, we edit or artifact all of our EEG and save it as a DAT file, which you open up under Lexicor. So we're going to locate our client's folder. At our clinic, we have everything in one folder. In this particular situation, I made an example folder and put it on the desktop. So we're going to open up our example folder. And I have our EEG saved as eyes closed. The A is artifacted, so it's already been artifacted. And then the eyes open. For this session, we'll use the example eyes closed artifacted file. So we'll go ahead and load that. We're going to choose yes. For this, we do not need to put anything but the age. And in this case, this client is 52. We're going to choose eyes closed. And then okay. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to start our symptoms checklist. So we want to come over to report. We want to come down and we want to find create swLORETA symptom checklist match. Now, when this symptoms checklist is produced, we want to make sure we're able to find it. So we're going to put it in the same folder that we had our EEG in. So we look here and we make sure that it is in the example folder that's on the desktop. That is correct. So we save our symptoms checklist simply as SCL. And then we hit save. It's going to give you this message, and sometimes it does take a little bit of time for this checklist to be generated. So be patient. When it is finished, this message will disappear, but you will not get another message letting you know that it is complete. When this disappears, you'll know it is complete. So after this is complete, we're going to go ahead and get our session set up for the client. And like I said, this does take a little bit of time. It is actually going over every bit of the EEG and making a symptoms checklist specific to the client. So when that is finished, you see it disappeared. We do not have any other notification other than it disappeared. So now we know it's done. We're going to come over to our collection tab. We are going to select setup and monitor. We're going to say no. It's asking us if we would like to save this prior EEG session to a file, and we do not. This is a screen letting us view the collections hardware that we're using. You should not have to make any changes to this screen. This is showing you your port or COM communication number, your serial number of the amplifier that you're using, and the passkey. We're going to go ahead and hit OK. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put in the demographic information for a new client. So we're going to put in This, now for the subject ID, it would vary depending on where you're at for us. If it's an in-house client, we put in their number. If we put in for a provider outside, then we would use how we set up their identification. So for this case, we are going to go ahead and just use a number. For the date of birth, we're going to use mine. So we put the date of birth, we put the gender, we do not have to put the handedness. We do not have to put clinician or technician or medications. What we do have to put in is their EEG file or folder. So we're going to click on Browse. We're going to use the same file that we used to set up our symptoms checklist folder with. So we're going to choose example ECA. And we're going to go ahead and hit OK. Now this window looks exactly like what you had before, but it filled in all of your information that you put in. We're also going to choose eyes closed. And then OK. Now we're at the point where this is noise in the room. If you had your client hooked up, connected to the CAP, you can check all of your impedances and make sure that everything is nice and clean. If you don't have someone hooked up, if you want to go ahead and set your protocols up ahead of time, which I would recommend, because this is a little bit of a process, you can come over back to collection. Now we're going to come down to neurofeedback. And we're going to come over and we're going to choose swLORETA. So you see we have many different choices. We have many different tabs that we can go through. So let's go ahead and we're going to start with the first thing that we will do is the symptoms checklist. So we're going to click on symptoms checklist. This is the symptoms checklist that we made in the beginning. So we're going to choose this. We're going to load this. Now we're inside of our symptoms checklist where we can choose. This is our symptoms inventory. There are several different tabs. We have symptoms, which there are a variety of different symptoms that you can choose from. You have the ICN. You have networks. We have neurophysical. We have the DoD, which is the Department of Defense / VA database. And then we have Neuralink. So for this purpose, we're going to choose networks. Now, where you are getting your information from is going to be on your protocol sheets. If you think back and you think of the protocol sheets on the head map that we went through, there's a section on your protocol sheet that says swLORETA. So you'll look in that area to see which networks to choose from or which symptoms to choose from. In this case, we're going to choose networks and we're going to choose first anxiety. So double click inside of this box that says 0 and you can choose a severity level. You can use your arrow up and down key, or you can simply type it in and hit enter. Either way, you're going to hit enter, and that puts in this information. We're also going to choose attention. So instead of using the up and down arrow keys, this time I'm just going to type it in and hit enter. Now you can choose up to 3 is recommended of different networks, symptoms, but you can only choose within the tab that you're choosing from. I cannot go over to symptoms and add balance problems when I'm already choosing from network. So we need to stay within the tabs that we're choosing from. So we're done choosing our networks. We're going to come over to Z-score. Now, what we're doing here is we are increasing the number of Z-scores that we are allowing to train for. So if you are familiar with Z-scores, we are between 1.5 and 2.0 is considered outside the norm for standard deviations. So we choose 1.50. Now we have, so anything that is over 1.5 standard deviations is going to be trained. Here is where you can turn on or off your absolute power. And if you think back on the protocol sheets as well, underneath the swLORETA tab on the protocol sheet, there is an area where you can indicate whether to turn on or off absolute power. So if it says to turn it off, you just simply come here and unclick, and that will turn off the power. And when we choose to turn off absolute power, when we look at our maps, if the absolute power is similar to relative power, then we will turn it on. If it's not, we'll turn it off. Once we've chose our networks or our symptoms and we have our Z-score window at 1.5, we've decided whether or not we're going to keep power on or off. We can come over and hit OK. Now we want to come and fine-tune some of our options. So our Z threshold is where we can start. This is the line or the goal line or threshold line that the client is going to be wanting to meet their goals with. So to start, we're going to push it down to 1.5. Now this can be adjusted and will be adjusted throughout sessions as the client starts to make improvements. We can decrease this Z threshold to lower it as the sessions need to become a little more challenging for the client. We will come next to our window, and it sets at default at 0.25 seconds. We want to increase that to 0.75. Your display can be one of several different things. So we have all types of different things that we can look at our clinic. We will choose the CZ head sometimes as a visual form of feedback. They can also watch a movie with a DVD player. They can listen to music through the multimedia player, and they can stream through the ANI streamer. So for this instance, we will choose the CZ head. We will come down to sound. If we're choosing the CZ head, we do want to have a sound. So we have a visual form of feedback with the CZ head, and then for the visual, we're going to turn on a sound. There's lots of different types of sounds to choose from. We're going to choose bass. We're going to come over to our next tab at session rounds. And this is where we can choose how long each round is. So right now we are at 8 rounds. a number of rounds, and each round is 5 minutes long, so that's 40 minutes. We go ahead and adjust our number of rounds to 4, and we keep the round duration the same. So now we are at 20 minutes. Each round is 5 minutes long. The inter-round delay starts at 30. We take it down to 10. So between each round, there is a 10-second delay. And at the same time, it pops up a graph to show the client how well they did for each round. The goal for the client as the rounds continue on is to see it's a bar graph, to see each bar graph go up and up and up like a staircase. We'll come back over to protocol. We're finished setting our protocol up. Now we want to save it. So we're going to click on save. We're going to label it something that we are going to be familiar and be able to find the next time we come to look for it. So I am going to put anxiety, since that's the first network that I chose. And then I'm going to go ahead and save it. For this window, it's asking you to save it again as a tab delimited text, and we do not need to do that, so we can cancel that out. Now you're ready to start your session. So to start your session, you go ahead and simply hit apply. This is going to pop up your CZ head. I'm going to put it right here just so we can see both our training window and the CZ head. This is called the CZ head. Now, if you notice, you haven't actually started your session yet. In order to start the session, you actually have to hit begin session. Now, the first 10 seconds is on a delay, since that's how we set up our sessions. After the first 10, now we're going to see we have a visual, and now you know why it's called CZ head. So as the client is training, they're going to get a visual of a green circle coming from CZ, and it's going to be just right there, and it will be there when they're meeting their goals, and it will go away when they're not. And at the same time, they will be hearing a bass sound. When the session is over, the session will end on its own. We're going to go ahead and end it now. We do not save the swLORETA neurofeedback session data. And then you can go ahead and close. Now that all of that is done, when the client comes back the next time, you will go ahead and open up your NeuroGuide software again, and you will come to, I'm going to stop this so you'll see exactly where you come to. So you're going to come back to this window. You're going to go to collection, setup and monitor. You're going to hit OK. Now we can find our existing right here. We're going to confirm eyes closed. We're going to go to collection. We're going to go to Neurofeedback and swLORETA. We're going to choose our session rounds. Sometimes it does go back to the 8, so you want to check this every time. We're going to adjust our threshold back down to 1.5. Oh, no, we're not. We're going to load. That's why it hasn't saved. When you click on load, your saved protocol will come up. You're going to click on anxiety and load. Now you have everything exactly the way you saved it before. Let's check our session rounds to make sure we're at 4 and not 8. We're at 1.3. We're at 0.75. We are going to be doing CZ head and base. And after all of your impedances are good to go, you just simply click apply and then begin session. So once you have built your protocols, you will not have to rebuild them as long as you save your symptoms checklist. And that is how you build an SWLORETA protocol and run a session.